Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel Crafty Concepts with Erin. I'm Erin and today we're going to create a 12 by 12 single page scrapbook layout featuring some papers from the Sweet as Honey collection. So I have some scraps. As you can see here, I've already done several layouts on my channel with this gorgeous paper pack. But what I'm going to do is scrap lift. This is the core catalog, and if you turn to page 24, they have a layout showcasing all their wood grain papers in this fun heart pattern. So lots of makers have been doing this and adding their own creative spin on it, and I've been wanting to do it. I was saving it for a little closer to Valentine's Day, and then a maker shared a layout featuring the Sweet as Honey. Her name is Jeanette Chappelle, or it could be Jeanette Chapel. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But she did a sunset photo, and I was so inspired because I had this gorgeous sunset photo. I was out riding my horse and the sun was going down, and it was just a really spectacular moment. So I am going to use her sunset idea and document this layout. And of course, I will put my own twist on it. So let me clear this up and we'll get started. I'm going to start with my VersaMat and throw down a couple removable glue dots just so my paper does not shift around. I am using a sheet of black cardstock, and we're going to line this up, and this is really going to help us place our triangles, make sure everything is centered. And then I have a piece of vanilla cardstock that I've cut to 11.5 inches squared. So we're going to have a little margin. It's hard to see because the black is on the black, but we have a nice frame style layout. Now I should mention, whenever I have the opportunity to gut the paper layers, I do. I don't always do it on camera and I don't always mention it, but I do save paper whenever I have the opportunity. So to create our triangles, we are going to cut 2-inch squares. I'll go ahead and bring in my paper trimmer, and we'll start with this one. Let's see. Oh, perfect. It's already 2 inches. So I'm just going to cut a bunch of squares. And again, they're 2-inch, obviously 2-inch by 2-inch. And whenever you have a paper pack like this and you're down to the scraps, I mean, I still have some large pieces, but this is a great one when you're down to the bottom of the paper pack and you have just little bits and pieces left over. So to make this a little bit easier, I'm using my little Fiskars photo trimmer. And then after you cut your 2-inch squares, you're going to cut them in half, making triangles. I will not make you watch the entire process, so I will do a lot of those off camera. And then we have all these fun pattern paper bits. Now, since I have my VersaMat, it's going to make it very easy for me to line these up. I'm going to grab my T-square ruler, which has a lip on it, and it's going to catch on that VersaMat. I'm lining it up right in the middle so I know where to start the center of my heart shape. Now I decided I want those lines going vertical rather than horizontal, so I'm going to swap that piece out and then bump my ruler over so I can line this one up. Perfect. Now this part's really fun. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. So you're just going to place your pieces, being mindful that you don't have too much of one type of pattern paper in one area. We have some very dominant patterns that stand out. For example, that Sundance with the flourish on it. And then we have a lot of the newsprint and then the stripe piece. So, you know, keeping in mind as we place these pieces, we want to distribute those throughout this shape. Of course, some of these areas will be covered up by my photo and embellishments, but I don't know exactly where I'm going to be placing those. So for now, I'm going to make sure that everything is balanced and looks good as a whole. Once I have all these arranged in a position I like them, I will go ahead and, adhere them down off camera so you don't have to watch me gluing them all. But you'll notice here in the upper left-hand corner, I have too much of the same pattern going on, and I just don't like it. So I will come back here in a moment and swap that out. You do want to make sure that if you have directional pattern paper, it's all going the same direction as well. So I will swap this one out, bring more of that yellow up there, and then add this piece there. And now I thought it'd be fun to add some stitching around the edge. This is the embroidered border stamp set. There's all these fun little faux stitching kind of embroidery details that you can add. And I love these for stamping around the perimeter of the page, just adding little elements to your projects. So cute. So I just laid it down on my desk. I'm going to pick this up with my block, and then I will practice a few times to make sure this is stamping well and that I have it straight on my block. Now, I cannot take credit for this. I'm not sure who it was, sorry, but I did see someone share a layout where they added the embroidered borders around the edge of the heart, and it was kind of cool because they did several of the different borders, as to where I am just going with one and adding it around the edge here. I'm using this scrap paper to mask off where I don't want it because it's a little bit longer than some of the segments. And this is much easier if you can put your head directly over the layout and see where you're stamping, but I don't want to do that because I would block your view. So I'm still pulling it off though. So far so good. And then we'll do a little bit more down at the bottom. This was actually pretty darn easy to line up. Yay for clear stamping, right? So I'll get this last little stretch here stamped, and then I can bring in my photo and give it a good press. Perfect. So I printed my picture on with a white border, but I thought it'd be good to mat it on black cardstock just so it really pops. I am going to add embellishments using my layered flower dies, and you guys know I love these, so I'm just going to cut a bunch of layers from the same pattern papers. So while I do that, I thought it'd be fun to add some of this Gilt gloss spray. This is the Dina Wakley gloss spray. So before I bring in my embellishments and glue my photo down, I thought this would be a good time to add the splatter. I'm going to lay down my all-purpose mat just to protect my workspace, and then you do want to shake this up really well. I'm going to bring in some scratch paper just so I could tap that off. I don't want big, saturated drops, so I'm just kind of tapping it off so I have a little bit more control, and then I'm just tapping, splattering it on different areas of the layout, and it looks so pretty. It just adds some gold shine, and it looks beautiful with this paper pack. So on the layout that inspired me, the sunset layout, not the one in the catalog, she also used these flowers, which I have been on a complete roll with these. So I was kind of thinking of adding them anyway, and I loved what she did. So I just went ahead and scrap lifted her. I will change up the title and my journaling and a few other things. So I'm adding ink to the edge of these to help give them some separation from the background. I'm just using my sponge tool, and then I'll add a little bit of shape and texture to these flowers, and then of course we'll bring in some 3D foam to pop these up and give them even more dimension. For those of you that have been watching my channel for a while, I hope you're not bored with these layered flower dies because I'm kind of in love with them. They're just perfect. They're the perfect size, and even for cards. And I love how you can get so many different looks by combining the different petal layers. And when you cut it out of the newsprint paper, it just looks so cool. I'm going to scrunch up the leaves, just kind of rough them up and give them some texture. And I'll put this one coming out the top of my floral element here. And then we'll go ahead and repeat that coming out the bottom. And I like that there's different leaves in these layered flower thin cuts. The green is perfect because in my photo, in the kind of horizon line, there is a row of pine trees. In the video, you can't really see the green, but it does show up in person. So I just put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my photo so that I can move it around and adjust it if I need to. I'm layering up this last little flower here. I am putting foam dots between some of the layers, not all of them. I don't want it to have too much bulk, so I just kind of did every other layer and then glued the other ones together. I love kind of coming off the corner of a photo, but I don't want to cover too much of my photo, especially because this is a smaller size picture. If I didn't mention it earlier, that is a 3x4 photo. Now for my journaling, I grabbed my Love Story stamp and thin cuts. This has this adorable little notepad that you can stamp and cut out with a coordinating die, and it gives you those nice rounded edges. I just think it's so cute, and I'm going to tuck it behind my flowers. I can add a little bit of journaling here in a moment. Now, this stamp set is so good for creating titles. It is called Cherished Blossoms, and it was from a few catalogs ago, but at the time of releasing this video, it's still available. So I chose the phrase cherish every moment because it's just one of those little moments, and you know, it's kind of random. I was out riding my horse Lola, and the sunset was just so beautiful that even she was stopped and watching the sun go down. You can see in the photo her ears are pricked forward and she's just looking right at it, and she was just perfectly still. I swear she was just enjoying it and taking it all in. So I thought Cherish Every Moment was a good title. And this is archival black ink, which has got this beautiful deep rich color. I brought in my Misty in case I needed to stamp it a couple times, but honestly that looks great. I'll bring in the coordinating die and we'll go ahead and get that die cut out. I am a huge fan of title builder stamps. Or not necessarily title builder, but stamps that have title options. I tend to be a very literal title person, so having things like this helps me think outside of the box and be a little bit more unique with my titles for my layouts. I die cut a few extra layers and I'm sandwiching them all together, so that just gives it even more dimension and presence on the layout. I want to add one more little pop of green, so I grabbed my Tabs thin cut dies and I'm going to select this one here. I'll die cut that from this New England Ivy, and now we have the lighter side. I love how it puts a score line on there, and then I'm going to sand it really quick to give it some distressing and just a little more character. I will nestle this right at the top of the photo and then later write the date after I go look that up. So for my journaling, I love to use these journaling pens, and I don't have a lot of space, so I chose the 0.01, and that is a really fine line so I can make my handwriting nice and tidy. I'm just adding some journaling about where we were and this lookout point above my house and how beautiful the sunset was. So just a quick little note there. You can actually fit quite a bit on this cute little note card, and I'll tuck that right back into its position. I want to add a few black enamel dots. These come in black and white, and they are 3 different sizes. So I'm going to add a few around each cluster. I say this all the time. It's not a rule, but I like to add things in odd numbers. It's just very pleasing to the eye. So I'm doing a triangle of 3 around this flower, and I'll do another triangle of 3 up here around the top flower. It would be so easy to add more photos. You could easily do a grid of 4 2x2 photos, kind of filling out that space. Can you picture it? So if you had, I only had the one picture, but I was just thinking if you had more, that would work really well. So again, a big thanks to Jeanette Chappell for the inspiration. I love your sunset layout, so thank you for letting me scrap lift you. And here's some more inspiration. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.